Hello, and welcome to DDTV. I'm Ed Holland with breaking news out of Olympia. We've just learned that the Department of Social and Health Services, the Division of Developmental Disabilities, has a complaint process for its clients. According to our sources, DDD wants to hear your complaints. They say they're serious about resolving your problem with services or staff. Our field correspondent is standing by to tell us more.
This is Emily Rogers reporting live from Olympia. I just talked with Janet Adams at DDD's central office, and here's what she had to say.
Well, you know, we really recognize that people have concerns, that part of life is things don't go smoothly, and we want to help them get them resolved as quickly as possible, which means we have to hear them, and then we want to respond as quickly as we can.
Earlier today, I asked people what kinds of problems we're talking about.
My wife's a caregiver makes her take a bath, and she does not like it.
My complaint is when I want to go somewhere, the providers say that it interferes with their time.
My job goes well, listen to me. It's been 2 years. I'm not getting anywhere in my job search. I want a new employment provider.
One big problem is when providers walk into homes without knocking.
I want a new roommate. She saw me. Don't eat my food.
Sometimes case managers won't return phone calls.
I asked Janet Adams what to do with complaints like these.
Well, you know, when you have a complaint, there's both a formal and an informal process. We always just like to start with the easiest answer first, and that's the informal process. And so that's an opportunity to ask your case manager, tell them about the problem, and if they can solve it within a couple of weeks, they will. But if you're not satisfied, then you can ask to speak with their supervisor, and that supervisor will take another couple of weeks, and if she can't or he can't solve it, then they'll say, do you want to go through a formal process? And they'll help you do that.
I asked Miss Adams what she means by formal. Does it mean you have to dress up?
Well, I think that sounds pretty intimidating, doesn't it? But no. A formal process means that it's going to be a written process now. You've talked to a case manager, you've talked to a supervisor, and still are not quite happy with the way things are going. And so now you have an opportunity to put it in writing. The supervisor will be glad to help you put it in writing. And then the region will work on helping you solve your problem. If within a couple of weeks' time they can't do it, then there's even one more step. And that written concern can be sent to central office for the division, and there a final resolution will be made.
Central office has 2 weeks to review the complaint and make a final decision. Back to you, Ed.
What if the complaint is about your case manager?
Well, Ed, you go to your case manager's supervisor.
Will people get in trouble for complaining?
Good question, Ed. Here's what Ms. Adams had to say about that.
Absolutely not. This is a process you should feel comfortable doing. If at any time you feel like you've been unfairly treated because you've complained, then we'll want to know about it, because that should not happen.
I asked Ms. Adams what advice she has for people with complaints.
Well, when you have a complaint, just remember this process is for you, and it's for you to be thoroughly heard, so that when you do talk to your case manager, if you still have concerns, you have several avenues to getting this fixed. So don't give up. Keep trying, but know that all issues have to be considered, and the answer may not in the end be the one that you necessarily absolutely wanted, but we'll do the best we can.
Back to you, Ed.
For those of you who have just tuned in, the Division of Developmental Disabilities has just announced a complaint process for people who are having problems with services or staff. Here's what they say to do. First, call your case manager. It's always best to work problems out early before they get too big. Give them 2 weeks. If then your complaint has not been resolved, ask for a supervisor's help. Give the supervisor 2 weeks. If the supervisor hasn't solved your problem, fill out a formal complaint. The local region will assign someone to help you with your complaint. Give the region 2 weeks. If your complaint has still not been resolved, then ask to have your complaint sent to central office for final resolution. Central office will issue a final determination within another 2 weeks. DDD says to remember that some solutions can take longer than 2 weeks. If this is the case, you will be notified. DDD hopes this will help people solve problems before they get too big. Let's ask our field correspondent what the feeling is on the street.
Well, Ed, it sounds like people are glad to know about it.
I think it's a good idea.
It is way over time and it needs to be done.
I hope it works really, really well.
I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I like it.
It sounds great.
And Ed, the biggest piece of news is that every case manager has a boss.
Good point. I'm sure a lot of people don't know that case managers have supervisors. That's another good reason for people not to give up if they can't get their problems solved right away.
That's right, Ed. Keep going until you get heard. This is Emily Rogers reporting live for DDTV.
Well, you've heard it here, folks. DDD wants to hear your complaints. And that's it for this breaking news out of Olympia. I'm Ed Holland. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for DDTV for news and information that will affect your life.